Okay, today we're going to continue with our quest through Sefer Yehoshua. We're in the ninth parak. This is going to be the second session on this parak, which is really its own topic. Another battle, next battle. Discussing the first time, should definitely reference the first one, about some of the details of the Givonim, who they were, exactly why they had to come up with this plan to try to save themselves. So, should definitely reference that if you haven't already. Now we're going to continue with where we left off. Up to the third. There we go. Make that bigger. Up to the third pasuk over here. V'yosh v'givun shamu is asher also Yeshua Yericholai. People of Givon, they heard about what Yeshua did to Yericho and I. So we could actually just go straight to the Mitzudas over here in Gimel. Ritz meaning Shehema Shnei Devarim Hafichem. They heard about the two opposites over here. Because Yericho Kavshu Benes was miraculously conquered. Yericho, as we learned above, unlike I. There were a lot of tactics involved. And they said, oh, they used tactics. We could also use tactics. Also continues. Dalid. Yasu Gam Hema Barama. They also acted with arama, with deceit, tactics, being tricky. The chuchma, Uncle says over here, with wisdom. Act with deceit. That's a simple explanation. V'yelchu v'yitz tayaru. They went, and this is a very interesting word over here. You don't see this word often. Sudasiyan said, "Atu atzmim kishluchim." They made themselves like messengers over here. So that's not such a common word. That's how he learns the word. Disguise themselves. They made themselves look like they were messengers. Rashi over here writes, "V'yasu gam hema barama." Just like the children of Yaakov did. See Bereshis Lam and Daled for more details. With Chamor, who was the father of Shem, who was Chivi, and the people of Givon were also from the Chivi. They also acted with deceit. Rashi says, "Also atzim keholchim b'shlichus." They went like they were just going; they were messengers. V'chusak and balim, and they took sackcloth that was worn out, as Rashi explains, so that it would look like shiunim kiboim eretz rechokos, that it would look like that they were coming from a far land. That's what they did over here. Made themselves look like they were coming from a far land. So they took worn out sacks for the donkeys. Benoados yayin, skins of wine. Balim, which were also worn out. Mivukaim, cracked. Mitsoyrim, that were split. All of this was to demonstrate, to make believe as if they're coming from a very far distance, as the Mitsudas explains. That's the simple explanation over here. It says Malbim that we skipped over here. Here he goes into this a little bit more. Some of the technicalities. It's Pasuk Dalid. Pasuk Hey. Una always balos. Sukkim continued to describe the way that they made it seem like they were from a far land. They took shoes that were worn out, mitulaos, ragleim. They were patched on their feet, usamalos balos aleim, worn out clothing that was on them. V'chol lechem seidem yavish haya nikudim. And all of the bread of their provisions was dry. It was like toasted. A lot of difficult words over here describing this. It's the Mitsuda's Sion is these are a dictionary over here to help us with these words. But those are the translations in English. Those words would be translated. Pasuk we just saw Pasuk Vav. V'yochel Yehoshua lamachan el Gilgal. They went to Yehoshua to the camp to Gilgal. By Yoin Love, and they told him, Vel Ish Yisrael merits Rechoika Ba'anu. They told him and they told the Jews. Merits Rechoika Ba'anu Va'ata Kirsulanu Bris. We come from a far land, make a covenant with us. That's what they told him. Merits Rechoika, the Metsuda says, we don't come from Canaan, in which are commanded to destroy the seven nations. And therefore make a bris, make a covenant with us, and aka keep us alive, as the Metsuda explains. But Yermel Yehoshua, and they told Yehoshua, Avadecha anachnu, we are your servant. Vayomer aleim Yehoshua, mi atem amayim tavo. Yehoshua said, who are you and where are you going? In other words, Yehoshua was a little skeptical. He wasn't necessarily convinced about this whole situation that they were saying. But Yermir love, they told Meretz Ba'ana, we came from a far land. There's unto Yehoshua. Bo Avdecha, your servant came from L'Shem Hashem Lokecha, for the sake of Hashem your God. Kishamanu Shamo is Kol Asher also Mitzrayim, because we heard of his name and everything that he did in Egypt. Is Kol Asher also L'Shnei Malchi Amori Asher Be'evar Yodin, and everything that he did for the two Amori kings that were on the other side of the Jordan, L'Sichlim Melech Heshbon, Oleg Melech Bashan, for Sikon the king of Heshbon, and for Og the king of Bashan, Asher, Ashtarois. That was in Ashtarois, the name of a place. Vayomer Elenu Zekenenu, and our elders they told us. V'kol Yoish v'Artzin, and all of the inhabitants of our land Lamor, they told us, saying, Kechu b'yadechem seid l'derech, bring for yourself, take in your hands, provisions for the way, food for the way, u'lachu l'krossim, and go out to greet them. V'amartim aleim, and you shall tell them, saying, this is the people telling them that they should tell Yeshua and the Jews, Avadechem anachim v'ata kirsulanu bris, we are your servants, and now you should make for a covenant with us. Zelachameinu cham, this is our bread, which is hot. At least when they packed it. Hitz tayadenu. Oiso. This is a pretty tough word over here. You don't see this word often. In fact, I can't recall anywhere else this word appears. But if I really cared, I'd do a search on the Otzar Chachma or search engine, find it very fast. But what does this word mean? So we go straight to the local dictionary. Mitsuda Sion, Lashon Seido Mazon. This comes from the language of Seida, food, provisions. This is our hot bread, that is food. We took it from our house, the day that we left to go to you. And now. And now it's dry and it's already toasted, meaning it's no good. And these are these are the skins of wine, the flasks of wine, which was totally full when we filled it up. Vihine his bako, and now it was cracked. No good. Ve'elu shelamoiseno una aleno. This is our clothing, our shoes. Pala merova derech mode. It's totally worn out because of the whole trip over here. totally worn out. And they conclude the words. So that's the end of the words. V'yichu anoshim b'seidim. Okay, so that's the end of their story. Now the next pasuk says, "V'yichu anoshim b'seidim, v'espi Hashem lo sho'alo." Yeah. So the people they listened to their words of what they said. Now it's interesting because literally this translates as they took from their provisions. But what this pasuk means is that they listened to what they said. Oh, the Metzudas David explains everything that I just said. When I was reading these psukim, I was keeping this explanation in mind. By Yechu, the Metzudas David says in Yudal words, Alarmar, meaning to say, Lachu moifes v'riya miyoivish sidam ve'eminulem. They looked at all the, food that they had and they said, oh, they're legit. O lachu mesidam v'achlu l'kayim bris v'ava. Or they took from their provisions and they ate it to fulfill, demonstrating that they had a legit covenant over here. Anyways, so the problem was the rest of the pasuk. This Pia Hashem lo shalo. They didn't ask Hashem what to do in this case. They believed their word, but they didn't ask Hashem what to do in this case. And that was the main issue. Vayas lahem, they made for them Yehoshua shalom. Yeshua made peace with them. Vayichros lahem bris lachayosin. And a covenant was made to keep them alive. Yeshabu lahem nisia eda. And the leaders of the congregation made an oath with them, a swear. Made a swear. The reason why this pasuk is highlighted is there's tremendous amount of significance. There's a difference between what the leaders did and what Yeshua did, according to the Barbanel. Yeshua made peace, sealed the covenant, but he didn't swear. But without Yeshua's knowledge, the leaders did, as the pasuk says. Yeshua didn't swear to them because he wanted to have the ability to withdraw from a pact that he made with them in case that they were liars. So that's an important difference between the two. There's another very important lesson from this that we could learn. Mesilas HaNeviim, Benjamin Eisenberger, relates a very important idea over here. They didn't ask Hashem. This teaches us if they would have asked Hashem, they would have never have fallen into this trap. And over here, we see an important lesson for us. Whenever we have a doubt what we should do in life, we have to ask Hashem. We have to ask the wise person. We have to ask Talmid Chacham, someone qualified, a rabbi, to clarify what is Das Torah, what does Hashem want, what does the Torah want of this situation that I'm getting involved with, I'm about to get involved with. Listen to what those wise people say. Don't sway from their words, then you'll be guaranteed that you won't stumble. What a great message. There's a very large radak, very long radak, on the seventh pasuk. If they would have known that they lived in Canaan, they lived in Israel, the Jews would have known this in Yehoshua, a covenant would have never been made with him. Covenant basically saying that there's going to be peace. This is a very long Radak. I went through this Radak several times. Basically, everything's coming from this Radak on this whole parak. All of the extra insights and details, differences. Because they made this swear, that's why the Jews therefore weren't able to kill them. Or else they would have, because they lied to them. Now, the truth of the matter is, since it was made under false pretext and it was a misleading situation, they could have killed them, but you had to swear. The truth of the matter is, even so, you were able to kill them because the whole thing was a lie. The covenant, it's irrelevant. It's like a mechach ta'os, so to say. It's a faulty transaction. The reason why they didn't kill the Givonim was because Chil Hashem. It would have been a desecration of Hashem's name because at the end of the day, a swear was made, even though it was a mistake. Would have been a desecration of Hashem's name because a lot of people would have heard the swear and they wouldn't realize that it was a mistake over here. That would be the desecration over there. Some explain if a swear and oath is made publicly, you can never annul that. And it's actually learnt out that halacha from the Givonim. Others say, third explanation, reason why they didn't kill them is in order to sanctify Hashem's name, to make a kiddush Hashem. Everyone will say, wow, look how important swears are. Even if it's made in a mistake, they still kept to their word. Then over here, the Radak quotes the Yerushalmi and Shvius, says that Yehoshua sent 3 letters before he went into Israel, saying if you want to leave the land, now's your chance. That was one letter. Another letter is, if you want to make peace with us, you can make peace with us, but you have to keep the seven mitzvahs v'nei Noach, 7 Noahide laws, and pay taxes, other moral obligations, etc. And the third, if you're not going to keep those 2, then you could forget about it. We're going to wage war against you. So the Canaanim, they fled to Africa because they were worried about this. And because they left, they were the only people who left the Canaani. Israel is called Eretz Canaan, the land of the Canaan. It's named after the Canaanites who left. Africa was good for them also. That's basically how to summarize this long Radak. That was a long Radak, and it's basically the idea behind this Radak over here. Long Radak. Okay, I think we're gonna stop it at here because there's a lot of potential ideas to say on Pasuk Tez Zayin. But that basically is the majority of the story of this parak. The story will continue and conclude. I guess we'll do that next time. I don't want to make these things like an hour because then I don't think people are gonna watch till the end, so I'd rather keep them short. Okay. Stop here, we'll continue next.